coming down to the
Does he have it?
He's going to get it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not a second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Would really be a thing. Although I could be wrong.
How long of a... Good evening and welcome to the Virtual World Sports Car Championship. Live from Imola. I am James Barber, going to be joined in the booth once more by Mr. Bradley Dalton, who's going to be here alongside me. And of course, we've got the wonderful man himself, Paul Glover, in our Heroes on production again. It is round 4 here of the series. We've been 2.5 hours to Daytona, we've been to Qatar, we've been to Sebring, and now we're jetting across the world and heading into the wonderful Italian, into Italy, I should say, of Imola. Let's have a look at the calendar so far as we will bring you through who we're going to go and where we're going to go next. So as I say, we are round 4 at Imola for the next round on April 27th. We are off to the wonderful world for 90 minutes of Spa-Francorchamps. Then round 6 is the big one. It's June 8th. It's 4.8 hours of Le Mans. You're going to need your drinks, you're going to need your popcorn, you're going to need your dinner, you're going to need your Uber Eats during that one. Then we're off around 7 on June 29th to 60 laps at the Glen, and then we've got 90 minutes of Sao Paulo on the July 20th. I won full circuit, I love Sao Paulo. Then for round 9 is 90 minutes of circuit of the Americas on August 24th, and then 90 minutes of Fuji for September the 7th. Then it's the Indy 100 for round 11 on September 28th, and then 100 laps of Road Atlanta on October the 19th. Then we finish off the series 2 hours of Bahrain on round 13 on November the 9th. Let's take a look at the track that we are here at today. It is Imola Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Dino Ferrari, with 16 corners here as well, 3.05 miles, 4.91 kilometers, built in 1953, and you've got classics corners such as Tamburello, through Villeneuve, off through Tosa, down through the Piratella, then the Acquamirale, Variante Alta, and then we finish off on 14 and 15 through Revazza. We go before we run down the Variante Bassa, down the start-finish straight, and start it all again. The challenges these guys have got to contend with, well, it's pass where possible here this evening, conquer the curbs, and try and work with the traffic. That's never going to be easy, so let's see how that one goes. Tyres itself, the hypercars have got the mediums, the hards, and the wets. And then the GTs have just got the medium and the wets. That will be all that they've got here this evening. Let's have a look at the scores on the doors. We'll start it off with the Hypercar Pro standings, and Dan Kirby has rocketed his way to the top with 110 points. John Uyan on 59, Mikhail Dinu on 56, Mike Bell in 4th place there, Dan Herlock in 5th, Tom Lane in 6th, Ernest Bernaldo in 7th, Cameron Barker 8th, Wood de Bruyne 9th, and Ben Kesby rounds out the top 10. You can see we've got 26 Hypercar Pro drivers. For the teams, it's CMS Pro is Sota Fraschini, Tipo 6 on 1st on 169, Smile Power Racing in 2nd, Manta Squid in 3rd, Aerolab 4th, and Team Rookie Monsters in 5th. Then you've got SKS Motorsport, Crown Dental, Joy Motorsport, Ferrari American, and Boyd Transport Racing at the bottom. In the Hypercar AMS, it is Jerry Chen out in front, only 7 points, mind you, on 87, with George Angelidis on 80, John Meyer in 3rd on 75, Craig Pullen 4th, Norm Graff, Philip Ducati, Gwilym Benk, Scar Pope, Benjamin Poyasif, and Eric Monet round out the top 10. You can see 17 drivers there. In the teams, Akira Mistral Porsche is out in front of 183, with HRC US Acura in 2nd, Reptile Racing in 3rd, Total Lions in 4th, Team Lev Speed in 5th, Hardtail Racing in 6th place. In the GT3 Pros, we've got 27 drivers. We'll give you the top 10. JT Sammy is out in front with David Jun in 2nd place. He is currently 18 points back. Alicia Nedo in 3rd with Matthew Overton in 4th, then Joe Wilkes in 5th, Carl Vesser 6th, Johnny Gutierrez, Brandon Gant, Ross Smith, and Wayne Galvin round out the top 10. In the team in 8th, SHQM in 9th, with Carl Beer Racing for Mustangs in 10th. In the LMGT3 AMS, we've got 11 drivers here, with Matthew Buse starting out in 1st on 110, Stephen Miller in 2nd, and he is currently 20 points back. Josh Lepetri in 3rd, Mike Bruce in 4th, Stephen Buse in 5th, James Bowders in 6th, Matt Buse in 7th, Roland Hagadas in 8th, and Filippo Marazzi are the last to score points. In the teams, Trash Panda Racing and Speed Details are currently out in front. Now, you've listened to me waffle on long enough. Let's bring Brad in for a quick convo before we do our normal weekly interview with Mr. Ross Smith. Brad, welcome in, bud. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon. Well, I guess it's evening for you, James, but good afternoon, depending on where you're at in the world. I am doing pretty well. I've really fallen in love with VWSC and with everything that they're doing here at CMS with Storm Gang simulations. I've really latched onto this series, especially the moderns. The historics have been fun, but I'm really enjoying the moderns. I like that we're at Imola. I like this track. I've only ever seen F1 racing on this track, though, so when I was kind of prepping for the broadcast today, I did a little bit of research of some different things, and I think we're in for a lot of really good action. I think the challenges of this track really set it off, though. And I made a comment earlier that I know Paul, our wonderful in-ear producer, was like, yeah, I already know that's an issue. Traffic. So I'll be curious to see, and I'm sure Ross is going to have some comments on this, how traffic will play out during this short 90-minute race.
Oh, traffic's going to be massive, without a shadow of a doubt. Where you catch it, how you get past it, and making sure that you can do it safely. That's going to be the problem for them as well. Welcome into YouTube chat, everybody that's joined us already. Stacey, welcome back. Mr. Reese, a resident YouTube watcher of the RF2. And then behind that as well, there was obviously Mr. Smith had jumped on the out there's as well. Thank you so much for joining us earlier on. Let's bring in Mr. Smith for our resident convo with him, our weekly update where he gives me no hints whatsoever. And I go away knowing less than I did when I brought him in to the booth. So, Mr. Smith, welcome in. How are you?
Good, thanks, James. How is everybody here?
I'm doing very well. Brad, you okay?
Yeah, not too bad. I'd be doing better if Ross would give me a little bit of a hint of what he's working on in the background.
Yeah, you're going to tell us nothing on the historic as well. Stacey, hiya, Mr. James. Hiya, Stacey. Mr. Reese, hiya. Welcome in. Ross, what have you got to tell us? Okay, let's start off with the series that we're covering first, right? We're in the modern 2024. What have we been working on this week? What have we got coming up?
So we've actually been doing some BOP coming off of the last round, and you're going to see that the 296 and the 992 have gotten some damper adjustments, a couple other refinements to try and make them a little bit more compliant through some of the corners and everything, and that's definitely helped. I don't know that there's much to be had against the indomitable Studio 397 cars, which are right now are the Mercedes and the Aston Martin, which are just crushing this place. They're kind of untouchable. I mean, the only one who's been able to throw anything at them is David Yoon in the NSX, which to me I think is one of the best cars here. I love it. I loved running it at Bathurst a while back when we had a separate series just for GT3, but yeah, it's going to be a tough challenge, definitely for any of those cars that are not a studio car. But it should be a good race. Obviously, there are a lot of things going on throughout. As you mentioned, the traffic's going to be a big one. This will sort of be a nice practice round for anyone who's doing the NARS race at Long Beach, which it's a bit of a canyon to run through. But overall, we've run here multi-class before. It can work. But one of the things is that GT3s are going to have eyes in the back of their heads. They're going to have to just be watching for any of those hypercars that are flying around. Because one of the major challenges, as you can see on this track, is it's got a lot of geometry up and down, left and right. And so it's very easy to not even see a car coming up until it's like almost on top of you. You might have a competitor right behind you, and then all of a sudden pop out, there's two hypercars on either side of both of you. And it can be startling, and you just got to be really on your toes as you're just dealing with those situations. Staying consistent is going to be a huge key to making sure that you stay out of trouble. And that's going to be the same thing for the hypercars. Make sure that you pick a lane. If you've been going around somebody the same way the whole time, try and keep doing that. Don't just pull a rabbit out of the hat and just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to this side this time. I'm going to run through the grass, or I'm going to go on the outside where you're pushing out. It's going to be everybody kind of all hands on deck to make sure that this all works. And be some bumps and bruises, and there should be a lot of good racing in that too.
Okay, so where are we at in the forms now? We've got a couple of cars that haven't got their cockpits completely finished off at the moment. The Ferrari 499, Ferrari 296 GT3, the Mustang GT3, and the Porsche GT3. Where are we at bringing them into levels with all of the other cars currently on track?
So the mostly looking at the GT3s getting started on that. NSX is actually on the slab at the moment, getting a lot of surgery being done there. It's actually getting the Evo update, so the Evo 22 is going to be going in, and this is going to coincide with the WEC 2023 mod, which we're looking to release to the workshop. So basically, starting on the cars that overlap between the two series, there are going to be a couple that aren't here, like the Glickenhaus. Obviously, that one's kind of been retired for the foreseeable future, but it will be in the other one. That's getting an update. And then the Nissan GTR, the Nismo has been around since the dawn of time. So it's no longer here, even though it is homologated. I mean, people can still run it, but yeah, that one will have to wait. But most of the rest of them, like the GR010, the Toyota Hypercar, I mean, that's going to get it. So all of those cars that basically existed in the previous one, you're going to see updates coming through. Just got to work on those. Got to really refine them. We're actually bringing Adrian Rice is going to take a look at helping us out with some of the audio translation into the new engine. So the audio should come along and be even better. And yeah, we're just going to be cranking away. Some people help. Becky actually, she offered to help on some of the admin duties, so she can take those away from me, so I can focus more on some of that stuff. And of course, our testing team is doing everything they can to make sure that BOP and everything else comes up and is matched very well. And that way, that the 2023 mod will be all set. And then this one, of course, will continue to receive updates both through physics, audio, and graphics.
Okay, so that's the modern covered.
Mhm.
We obviously are aware of the historics. We're aware of the mods and everything else that's already out there, and they're already up and running. You've already said you're working on next season. Now, for me, I'm going to ask, but I'm not going to get anything. So I'm not even going to put myself through that emotional, mental pain of knowing nothing about next season. What's the situation with the historics at the moment? They're great cars. Everybody's in love with them. The Shelby Daytona, the Ferrari, the Alfa Giulia, everything has just been absolutely amazing. Are there any more updates? Are there any more little bits coming to them that we sit back and think, oh, okay, that could be a little bit of an eye-opener?
So probably nothing much. Certainly the the 64s are in a pretty good spot. There are ongoing discussions, as always. We continue to look at the data as we go through different races. So if there's anything that stands out that needs to, like this is an outlier, this kind of needs to be touched up, we're really seeing X, Y, Z happen. And then George and the testing team, led by John Uyon, they'll take a look at it and see is there anything that can be tweaked to make that experience a little bit more to parity. But at the moment, there's not really anything too much. So I mean, it's kind of like hands at the ready, but just kind of watching how the next races unfold and make adjustments as needed from there.
Okay, we've got a lot of people that watch the historics. They come in and watch the moderns. Obviously, they might not all be in the Discord. They might not all be partial to the information that we get as well. I don't really want to go too deep into it, Russ, but what was the outcome of the Tiger Floria situation last time out in the historics? Because I know a couple of people are sitting here waiting with bated breath to see what was going to be the outcome of that. So what eventually is the news coming out of CMS regarding Tiger Floria? I know there was a poll put out the other day from George. What's the situation so people at home can get a better picture of what is going to happen with Tiger Floria?
So to recap on that, John Uyon ended up starting from the pits because he didn't make the grid, and that because of the unique layout of the track, it scored him a lap ahead of the field just because of where it's positioned, just computer logic. And so as he carried on with his lap, he basically ended up lapping a chunk of the field then, and that caused a premature ending to about half of the grid. So in response to that, George basically looked at the situation, and we all chatted and had conversations about what was going on there. And he initially said we're going to score at half distance, and do the 75-50% rule that they have in other FIA events, and we're just going to score it as half points. And some drivers, obviously those who were not affected by it so much, like Becky Ely and others at the top, they were not thrilled with that. Others thought that it was fair, and so after lots of conversations, George just basically said, okay, well, I'm just going to throw a pull out there and let majority rule on the options that we have laid out. So right now it looks like it's probably going to end up being a half points kind of situation, but it's still open, so we'll see what happens with that.
Okay, so no further updates there for anybody that is wondering what has gone on. Stacey, can you please not encourage Paul to talk any more than he seriously needs to? I'm not being rude, but you haven't got him in your ear roll, and his voice, as I say, it's like being at a schizophrenic's party. It's horrendous on that one as well. But Ross, overall, we're in a good place. The mod's in a good place. Are you guys at SGS happy with everything that's out there at the moment? You're sitting back thinking, we are good. We're in a good place. We're prepping for next season. We're good to go. I don't think there's anything more needed really on this season that we really need to worry about.
I mean, I think in general, the team is in an okay spot. I think we feel like we're content with how a lot of the things are. Obviously, the graphics are a major point that we're getting through, and we'll deal with that. But as far as the car behaviors, how they're balanced and everything, I think everyone is fairly satisfied. Obviously, anyone who's sort of at a disadvantage at any one particular track is going to whine and complain, as any race car driver would. So that's to be expected. But I think overall, we're definitely ahead of the game, more so than we ever have been in the past. We've gotten a lot better with our tools and just the way that we've been able to work together. Unfortunately, one of our members, Don Fryman, is having to step away for some personal reasons, so we wish him all the best for that as he's addressing that. We've had some other members be able to step up a little bit in place there, like Ben Borman, which I don't believe he's made it in today, so he's working on some stuff. And since we're talking about people, I'll give a shout out to Mike Bell. His mom is going through a procedure, I believe, this week, or she just did. So we're wishing all the best for her and his family.
Hopefully, get well soon. I hope everything works out there for your mum, Mike, and much appreciated for that one. Ross, let's discuss you. You know, we come in and we discuss SGS, we discuss everybody else, but let's have a discussion about you. What is... Well, why not, right? You know what I mean? We do talk about everybody else, but we never, ever bring you in for an interview and actually have an interview with Ross Smith. We have an interview
I'm not winning anything.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Yeah, we have an interview with Ross SGS and that, and I want to sit back and talk about you at the moment. GT3 standing, sitting in 9th at the moment in that Ferrari 296. You've got a long way to go, don't get me wrong, to get onto the back of JT Tammy. Where are you in consideration with your driving? Are you happy with your driving at the moment?
It's definitely lackluster from where I know that I can be, certainly like with the rest of the team. And all of that has been almost entirely because of just availability for timing and all that. So, you know, I'm not too downtrodden by it just because I know why it is the way it is. I'd love to be up there fighting for podiums, top fives, that kind of thing. And you know, my biggest ally in a lot of this is just consistency. Is some of the other drivers that are out there, kind of driving around, just staying out of trouble and just picking up where others fall down for whatever reason. And so that's just kind of what we're sticking with. I mean, I'm looking at this race right here. I think there's going to be a lot of mix-ups because, as you can see, it's a very crowded pit lane. We have some drivers that are 4-stack. I thought I saw somebody say they've got a 5-stack in their pit box, and that's you and Brad are going to have a whole lot to talk about when it comes to pit stops and that stuff happening, because you can double up. I haven't ever seen anybody triple up to try and make a stop happen. So yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I can safely tell you now, while you were talking, I was looking at the pit lane, and it was just chaos. In fact, somebody pulled out of the pits and was on fire. At that moment in time, I literally just saw their car go poof. I'm trying to find out who that was.
It's probably a Ferrari.
Yeah, somebody had come out and it had just gone completely poof there.
At least a Ferrari's engine.
I don't know what was going on. So good luck to everybody dealing with your pit lane today as well. Ross, where are you? What's your chances today? What are we going to see? Am I going to see Ross Smith in victory lane?
Chances are pretty minimal. You know, I'm just going to try and stick in there, like I said. I think all those Aston Martin drivers are going to be pretty tough to beat. You're going to see JT up at the front for sure. David Yoon's going to be probably challenging him, and I'm sure Matthew Overton and Eugene Major are going to be nipping at their heels throughout the race, assuming they don't pull, you know, an Overton and loop it somewhere and, you know, do something silly. But that's what I was talking about. You just gotta stay consistent, keep it on the road, and you know, then you might pick some stuff up.
Right, okay, well, good luck, Mr. Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking about you for a change, and everything else that comes with SGS as well. Much appreciated for that one, mate. We'll let you get back up into the driver's booth. I'm sure there's a lot going on at the moment, as they are literally 4 and 5 wide in the pits at some points. So good luck today, mate. Hope it works out for you, and hopefully I look forward to having a chat with you at the end.
Sure, thanks. I mean, anything can happen. You know, Brad, Paul, I look to you guys to keep them in line. So, well,
Not a chance.
good luck.
Keep me in line. I'm always in line.
James.
I behave myself every time. All right, not always, but
If you think so, it's okay.
35% of the time, 35% of the time, I'm good.
Oh,
35 chins.
I do want to point out that this will actually be, I think, the first modern race that we're going to have where all of the drivers are able to run in their own cars. So there aren't any drivers sharing cars today, although sharing stalls is a different story. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to go chaotic if they all come in together like I just witnessed beforehand there as well. So thank you very much for that one, Mr. Smith, and we will catch up with you soon.
All right, good luck, guys. Thank you very much.
Take care. Brad, I think, to be blatantly honest with you, we have got a lot to deal with here, because while we were looking at the scenic pictures, I was looking at the pit lane, and they are literally 3 and 4 stacking of Hypercars LMGT3s as well. So I think for us in pit lane, it's going to be horrendous.
Yeah, I really feel for the drivers having to figure out that situation, but I really feel for Paul. And you're not going to hear me say that a lot this season. But Paul, you're in for a time, I believe, behind the scenes here on getting these cameras working, getting stuff working. So, a good luck to you there. But yeah, no, this is gonna be I think, one of our more challenging races this season in that regard. And the fact that we don't have anyone doubling up, we've got 55 cars. So full sign up.
Yeah, they're triple, they're quad, they're literally 4 deep in some of the pits. It's going to be absolutely crazy. You see the nice little track map on the right-hand side there as well, brought in for this week, so we'll be able to give you a rundown of where everybody is on the circuit. Stacey, no comment, she said that. What we're going to be watching here today?
Carnage. It's telling to me whenever I look, CMS does a very good job of providing us with a data sheet and an event sheet and kind of setting everything up ahead of time. And it's very telling to me the fact that we are in orange zone all the way through turn 7 through Toza. It's very telling to me whenever a third of a track. Now granted, Imola is a shorter track, all things considered, just over 3 miles. But the fact that all the way to Toza is an orange zone on that first lap, it's very telling to me that even admin are, probably looking at this and going, this is going to be interesting with 55 cars on. And that's not to mention once we get through probably the first 5 minutes and we start seeing lap traffic start to become a factor, as we watch Bradley Sellers here, who is getting past one of the Fords. That is really telling for me. That's when I think we're really going to start seeing action and chaos. And of course, we had a stream last night where we saw, some GT3, GTP action. I think we're going to see some similar stuff today.
Yeah, it's been quite chaotic, as we can pick up on Brad Sellers here as he's going around Power and Dianti on that run down into Ravazza, the double left-hander, clearing map use there in traffic. So Brad doing a great job, and then he's got Mike in front. It's not Buse, is it? What was it?
Is it Bice?
Bice? I can't remember. I'm told to Google it, to be honest.
Oh, cool.
As Brad goes into the pit lane. So it's going to be an exciting one here, I think, for who's going to be able to manage traffic better. I wouldn't be surprised would be the winner. Adrian Rice has just had a moment down into Ackerman O'Reilly. He's been off the track, so is Jaime Zalecki as well. As we're going to come up to the final stages, there's a big off track there. I think that may have been Alexander Schultz having what can only be deemed as a moment and a half there. Unfortunately, we've just changed it over on that one, so we will bring you up the grid ready to go for this race, and I'm sure it's going to be very, very interesting here indeed. So we'll wait for the grid to pop up. There you go. We've got Mike Bell out in front with Dan Kirby in second. Tom Lane in third with Dan Herlock in fourth place in the Isotta Fraschini car. In fifth, it's Luke Mitchell with Cameron Barker, Michele Dinu and Magnus Dahlgren. They're going to round out the top 8 for ME Racing Alpine there. In ninth, it's Ernest Bernardo with Timon Suvic and Ben Kesby in the Ferrari, with Bradley Sellers there with the Team Rookie Monsters Acura in 11th. On from that, you got John Uyan in 13th, with Wood de Bruyne in 14th, Mika Locke in 15th there, with Jerry Chen. It has gone back to warm up. I'm guessing there could be an issue quick on. Then we got Jerry Chen, Don Hunter, Jascha Schmidt, and Adrian Rice rounding out the top 20. Brian Hall, then Craig Pullen, Alexander Schultz, and George Angelidis in 24th place. rolling on now as well. Eric Monet, Norm Graff, Vinicius Concalves, and Jason Whitehead in the top 27 and 28th place, respectively. On from that, Adam Gray with Alexander Sarama and then Peter Stefani. Benjamin Porteous Heath is in 32nd place. On from that, David Shunt in 33rd with JT Tammy, Vasilis Kataranakis, and James Walker in 35th and 36th there. In 37th is Matthew Overton with Robert Strachan, then Brandon Gant and Eugene Mazur rounding out the top 40. And then we got Mark Sumfumlap, Peter Meyer, Ross Smith, and Stephen Miller. Ross a long way down in that Ferrari 299 there, all the way down. Then we can keep going on. We've got Josh Lepetri, Matt Butts, Joe Wilkes, and Mike Butts in 48. On from that one, we've got Stephen and Butts, and then Stuart Barge, and then Ryan Reyes in 52nd there. And then we've got James Bowders in 53rd, the final car out on the field at the moment. Mike Bell's going to lead us away on this pace lap at the moment here, Brad. What have we got to look out for, Brad? What's going to be the be-all and end-all of incidents here today?
It's going to be I think it's going to be a fairly simple one to keep your eye on, because it's going to be something through Tamburello, Villeneuve. Aqua Minerale is going to be a very challenging point of the track. This is, again, Imola is one of those tracks that I always talk about. They're deceptively difficult. They look very simple, and then you get on track, you're driving, and it's just kind of, you get the, oh, hey, whoa, you know, this is harder than it looks sort of thing. So we'll see how things play out once we get these 90 minutes going, but I do think it's going to be, something's going to start with the GTPs, because they're going to get a little overconfident because those cars have so much downforce, so much grip, or the GT3s are just not going to know how to get out of the way because this track is small. There's not as much space for them to be able to give room and give way and make things, you know, less difficult, less challenging for the GTPs. So we're going to see some sparks fly as this 90 minutes goes, because the thing is, it's 90 quick minutes. This isn't the 4.8 hours of Le Mans where we're going to see a lot of guys play the long strategy game. This is going to be go, go, go from the beginning.
I do agree. Mike Bell now on that run into Variante Alta at the moment. He's got 3 more corners really in hindsight to go. There are some other wonderful corner names in the middle, or corner numbers of 13 and 14 and 16, which really aren't corners here, but we won't go in it to that one, as we've seen at some of the American tracks where they do have wonderful corner names there as well. I like Adam Gray's livery. It really stands out, says Stacey there, of course. So Adam Gray there getting a big praise up here as we're coming round Rivazza. Mike Bell's getting everybody backed right up. Of course, Dan Kirby sitting in 2nd place, waiting. We're now on the Variante Bassa, so the long straight away before we go down, and we're going to be up and running, and we are going to be racing. We can see the GT3s in the bottom right-hand corner. We'll keep an eye on them as well. But right about now, ladies and gentlemen, the 90 minutes of Imola is going to be up and running, is going to be green. The line is coming. It's going to be once more, and it's going to be action, action, action. And we are off and running, and we are underway as Mike Bell leads us down into Tamburello for the first time here, with Dan Kirby sitting in 2nd place at the moment. In 3rd is Tom Lane with Daniel Hurlock behind that, but Mike Bell does get us on, and he's running now down into Villeneuve turn 5 and turn 6. The GT3s are coming around the final corner. We'll pick up on them very, very shortly. You can see him in the bottom right-hand corner now. Round toes we go. It's still Mike Bell. Dan Kirby gets a little bit sideways. The GT3s are off and running. David Shunt leading the way. Going down into Tamburello for the first time with JT Tammy in 2nd. Vasilis Kataranakis in 3rd. Beyond that, we've got Matthew Overton, Robert Strachan, Eugene Mazur and Brandon Gant, they're scrapping away and continuing to do so as well on the fight for this first lap here. Some great action taking place, Brad. They all got away fairly cleanly. There was little bits and moments going on. And there's another moment with Dan Kirby as well. It looks like he's just had a little bit of a moment. We'll try and pick back up on that one. But Imola doing Imola things on a very short circuit.
Yeah, Imola's moving very quick, and you can see that the gap spread between the GTPs and the GT3s is not that big there at the race start. That's going to change very quickly, but and what happened to him? Is this a case of cold tires? It's a case of curb off and away, and you don't want to do that too many times because I don't think the stewards are going to like that. And this is Moyne coming through. Same corner again, curbs. Curbs, curbs, curbs. GTPs don't like them.
Peter Stefani here as well. He is off track. And again, the same scenario. Hits the curb on the outside. The car goes in. And he goes running off there as well. Jussi Schmidt has already gone into the pit lane here, but we can give you a quick rundown of the top 6 in each class. Mike Bell took the start at the beginning, done an absolute flyer, and away he's going. He's opened up 7 tenths at the moment to Dan Kirby, with Dan Herlock sitting in 3rd, Tom Lane in 4th, and Luke Mitchell in 5th, with Cameron Barker rounding out the top 6 in the Hypercar Pros. In the Hypercar AMS, it's Scar Pope out in front at the moment. He's leading Jerry Chen. You can see the gap's 2.5 seconds. Craig Pullen in 3rd, George Angelides 4th, Norm Graff and Vinicius Goncalves rounding out the top 6. In the LMGT3s, it's David Junt leading the way over JT Tammy and Vasilis Katarinakis, with James Walker and Matthew Overton, with Brandon Gant rounding out the top 6. And then in the AMS at the moment, it's led by Stephen Miller, with Josh Lepetri just behind him, with Matthew Buse, and we've got Mike Buse and Stephen Buse before we get down to Peter Reyes. That is the top 6 in each class. But Mike Bell doing a fabulous job there as well. Just had a little bit of a moment as he's on his run now into Tamburello, the left-hander, left to right. Dan Kirby's tucked up right behind him here, Brad. It's got to be Kirby's moment. He's got to take the opportunity because he ain't going to get many.
Yeah, this 90-minute race is going to move quick, so any opportunity that gets handed to you, you have to take advantage of it. As we see, they're running out of Toza here, coming down towards Piratella, and I'm not going to use corner numbers. I'll use corner names for this track because it's Imola, and it feels correct to do so. And as they come through Piratella, Kirby's lost a little bit of that touch that he had, but he's in striking distance as they run down through Aqua Minerale here, and they're heading towards the Variante Alta. It's very close. We see some side-by-side action in the GT3s there in the bottom right. So the GT3s are keeping action going, and the GTPs are. This is a much closer battle than we've had, at some of our last tracks and last races. We're seeing everyone stay very close, and Imola is good for that. Like Qatar and Sebring, we saw things spread out, I feel, a lot more. But here at Imola, it's very charged and challenged early on.
Yeah, I can tell you now, Cameron Barker has had a massive off. Tom Lane went off in front of him, rejoined the track, going through Tamburello, and that's forced Cameron Barker to check up. Unfortunately, as he checked up, he come around to the left-hand side, took the nose off somebody, and it went round in a horrendous fashion. And unfortunately, he hit every single barrier possible. I'm wondering if he actually made contact. I believe it was Craig Pullen. Here he comes back on the track. You can see Pullen on the inside with the green. He comes across him and just absolutely buries into the barrier. There's Cameron Barker, and Tom Lane goes off as well. As you can see that run into Tamburello now. Lane goes on the outside, no quarter given. He comes back on, but it's at that moment he comes on. Barker's right behind him. He's had to check up. He tries to get out of the way. He goes across the nose of Craig Pullen, and boom, straight into the barrier there for Cameron Barker, unfortunately there. Mr. Parfitt seems a little bit quiet, says Mr. Jones there. I'm sure we will let our wonderful producer know, and he will start correcting that one. Mike Bell is now on the run down from Aqua Minerale into Variante Alta. He's got Dan Kirby and Daniel Herlock right behind him, and Luke Mitchell in 4th place. He's starting to open up a bit of a gap here. 3.9 seconds, Brad, in that Hypercar Pros. 1 hour 24 on the clock, and already it looks like a Bell, Kirby, and Herlock battle.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, Kirby does not seem comfortable in his car as we've watched him continue to run. I've been watching, he's constantly just fighting the car, a little loose, a little off, and it seems like Kirby is really, really pushing right now to try to get this through. And now, James, we have the challenge happening side by side as they go down. Oh, don't George Russell it, please. There we go, side by side coming into Tamburello. Watch the GT3 up front, mind the traffic, go through, keep it clean. Oh, guys, keep it together as you head down towards Villeneuve. And there we go, they do. Herlock. Oh, this is where things get crazy, because now we're going to start mixing up the Hypercars and the GT3s. It's where things are going to start to get competitive. It's just, look at the track map in the top right corner. You're going to start seeing the pink and the yellow is the Hypercars, the blue and the green is the GT3s. You're going to start seeing the rainbow mix, and it's going to be like you opened a bag of Skittles from Halloween and you poured it out on the table to sort them out. It's going to be a mess that's coming up.
It absolutely is, and one of the things, if you haven't looked on board with Mike Bell in his cockpit cam, as he starts clearing through the GT3s, it really is a sense of scare. It is literally a scare moment. He's coming up to Ryan Reyes at the moment, and he's on that run now through the outer down into Ravazza, and you'll be able to just see him start siping through like a hot knife through butter. He's not really quite sure where to go with Stuart Barge. Give him an option. Nah, he didn't give him an option. He gave him a closed door. Now Barge goes out. Barge tries to make it free wide in his own effect because he's fighting away with Abuse there. So one of the abuses as well. Now we can see he's going through again. It is an amazing sense of speed when you jump on board with Mike Bell, and he's just slicing through these GT3s. Kirby's taking it free wide. Oh, Kirby took the free wide into Tamburello. He made it round the outside as Mike Bell had traffic there, and Dan Kirby with a move and a half to clear that. You can see the difference with traffic from Kirby. He's got the management, he's got the power, he's got the aggression. He goes through not like a hot knife, it's like a scalding, smoking knife. As you see that overtake from Dan Kirby here on your screen, you'll be able to see it coming down now into Tamburello. He makes it, goes through, slices his way through, and that scalding red hot poker goes past that hot knife, Mike Bell. Mike's got to do traffic better than that there, Brad, because he doesn't seem to be able to have it with Dan Kirby, with Dan Kirby's traffic management.
Dan Kirby just showing a little bit more aggression there, a little bit more oomph to clear the traffic than what Mr. Mike Bell was willing to show. But you can see that he ramps the sausage curve going through there, and there's a GT3 off in the front, but as we see, Kirby not phased. But riding on board with that shot, James, the two things that stick away to me: how narrow this track is and how gutsy you have to be through traffic. Because from this point on, we're not going to have a clean racetrack again. It's going to be mixed traffic all the way through. And there is nothing any of these drivers can do as we get a replay coming up here.
This is George. There is off-tracks aplenty at the moment. George Angelidis has gone off. This is the run into Varianta Alta. He gets it all a little bit wrong, goes through. Luke Mitchell's another one. This is coming down into, he's down at the bottom, so that's Aqua Minerale, runs wide. Brandon Gann in the Ford Mustang. He gets it wrong going down into Tamburello. The opening goes off the side of the circuit. Adam Gray goes round. He does a lovely pirouette coming round Varianta Altas. Ryan Reyes is another one who's also struggling at Alta at the moment. He's just got it all a little bit wrong. He just got out of the way. James Bowders is another one in that Porsche. He's got wrong coming down into Ravazza. He hit the grass. Jocelyn Petrie has gone off in that Ferrari. He's caught up. Stephen Miller and Brad Sellers. Oh, contact there with Miller and Brad Sellers. I think Matt Boyce caught up in that. He's had to check up. Oh, goes around the outside there with Stephen Miller. He's had to check up coming out there, Brad. He's going to get carnage. There's no... Oh, there's a big one there as well.
Oh.
Scar Pope, Matthew Boyce, Adrian Rice, Ryan Reyes, Craig Pullen. They've all gone. It is a parking lot a parking lot at Imola. And no, it's not out in the car park. It's out on the racetrack. And it all went a little bit wrong with Scar Pope kicking this all off somehow. And it's all just gone Pete Tonk for Pope. It's gone along. Barge is in there as well. He's locked up. Buse has got involved with it once again. So it starts off with Matt Buse and Stuart Barge was the initial catalyst of it. Yeah, Stuart Barge, Mike Boost running side by side. Boost comes on, hits Barge round, and then bingly bangly bong. It's like sitting in an old pinball arcade as everybody comes round and points for them all. It is horrendous. Pullen, Reyes, Barge, Pope, Angelidis might have just got caught up in as well. It is absolutely chaos down at the back there, Brad. And well, we stated it here at Imola. We talk about the big one at Daytona. We talk about the big one at Charlotte. When do you ever talk about a big one at Imola until you get these mixed multi-classes on track?
You know, I was worried about someone pulling a Valtteri and Russell down the main straight going into Tamburello. Apparently, I was worried about the wrong things going into this race today. And apparently, really, I should have just been worried about cars going 2, 3, 4 wide and just not minding P's and Q's on traffic. Very rarely do you see a huge one like that in multi-class racing. But man, when it happens, it is stellar. I don't care if it's real life or sim. It is stellar to see that happen. And Bradley Sellers here having an off track. The hypercars, Mr. Reese said it in chat, the mediums warm up quickly, the hards take like 3 laps, because Stacy in chat said it takes a long time for tires to come out in temp because someone said that it looks slippery. I will tell you right now, I have not seen a hypercar look like it's struggling so much, except for how these guys look right now driving around Imola. And it is surprising to me to see how much the hypercars are moving on their tires and sliding, not sticking to corners. I know these guys need to be aggressive on it, but
there's no grip there, Brad. The problem is they're hammering the pedal and they're not going anywhere very fast. The only thing that's going there is the back end slippery and sliding as if you've got hold of the veneer, and it's not going to work. You've got to get hold of it. We said, and we spoke about it before, we mentioned it multiple times, it's a Netflix and chill. It certainly is not a smack it and hammer it. You've got to Netflix and chill the car because you're an hour and 90 minutes, hour and a half, you're only 15 minutes in. There's been a lot of action. There is no way in a month of Sundays at this moment in time that these cars are anywhere near it. There's a lot of slows, there's a lot of slow downs, there's a lot of checking up, and it is just one thing after another. These guys have got to have their head on a swivel. They've got to be an owl, because if you're not an owl, you're going to be in trouble. And Timon Suvic coming through out of there, tucked up behind David Shunt at the moment, and he's struggling a little bit as he tries to get hold of Tom Lane. But it's got to be, Brad, eyes everywhere. If you've come into Imola and you have not got a mate out there who has not been employed to spot, and you're not paying him in, I don't know, whatever you pay him, I don't care if you pay him in Skittles and blinking gummy bears. You need a spotter at this Imola race circuit, and if you've come in blank and you haven't got one, good luck, good night, take care, adios.
yeah, it's painful. It's going to be a bad day for you if you don't have a friend out there that can help you out. And honestly, if this is something that you're newer or you're less comfortable with, this is probably not going to be a race for you. If you are not someone in a GT3 that is comfortable with GTPs flying past you, shoving moves through, keep your head on the swivel and know what's going on. If you are not a GTP car that is comfortable just pushing through traffic and getting your way around GT3 cars, and especially GT3 cars that, maybe aren't comfortable with GTPs flying past them. If you're not if this is not a race where it really goes to show who's comfortable and who's not, then I don't know what is. It is truly showing to me right now, the drivers, that this is something they are very skilled and comfortable with, and drivers that this is not something they do on a regular basis. It's coming out very quickly, and it sticks out like a sore thumb to me.
Oh, it's predominant as hell, isn't it? It's predominant like a blackhead that's been there for a week on your boat race. It sticks out like a volcano. Vinicius Colcalves, George Angelidis still finding it out. They're going past traffic. Again here, left-hander once more for Angelidis. Does manage to hold it and keep it going, but he's coming down now. into Acqua Minerale. We went through Piratella. Concalves did not make it through on Mark Sunfenlap in front, unfortunately. Sunfenlap's now got round. He's got out, not out the way. He took the inside. That's allowed Concalves to get back on his battle with Angelidis. It's going to be a little bit more here again. You see the battles on your right-hand side. This is Brandon Gant fighting it out again. They're doing a great job for Brandon Gant, and Gant is of course in that Ford Mustang GT3s. He's got Overton behind him. He's got Pullen coming through in that lovely green machine there as well from Craig Pullen. Love that, looking very sexy. And Brandon Gant in that Ford Mustang. You can see Concalves and Angelidis still going at it here. Concalves is looking like he's going to try and make that move down into turn one. Well, he doesn't get it done this time, as there was a big O from Brad there. What was that about?
That was about the contact between the hypercars. I keep joking about the George Russell Valtteri moves, but I mean, guys, you don't have to actually do it. I know they say art imitates life, but you don't have to do that. And as we just watch here, man, the traffic is just killer right now. There's so much traffic. I just don't know. I don't know where to look. I don't know what I should be looking at sometimes, because everywhere I look, there's action, there's traffic, there's chaos. I've seen spins going through Toza. There's people running off tracks. I mean, this is a challenging race for anyone and everyone involved. And I'll tell you right now, James, we're only a few minutes into this, but I would hate to be a steward after this is through, because they're going to have a fun time.
Oh, I wouldn't even like to be even remotely involved with any stewarding decision that goes on here as well, to be blatantly honest. We've got Brandon Gant, he's got Overton right alongside him at the moment. Concalves and Angelidis is on your screen on the left-hand side. Gant and Overton are literally about as close as they could possibly be. Nose to tail, Overton in that Aston Martin at the moment. Angelidis is coming up to traffic. Is he going to be able to weave his way around? It looks like Alexander Schultz is off the side of the circuit. Alexander Schultz is off the side of the circuit. George Angelidis finishes Concalves. We've had people heading into the pits early on as well, Brad, but that was nothing compared to the fact that they were expected because of the parking lot that was created. We had a big one at a road circuit. We're not even talking Daytona, NASCAR. We're not talking any of that. We're talking GTP, GT3s, and a big one at Imola.
Yeah, it just lays on for the challenge of Imola, and that's the thing. This track is narrow. This track is deceptively simple, and it shows the challenge here. And I can hear O's coming back from James in the background because I just don't know what is the best option for these guys other than just survival. I know we said last week in the 64s that Targa Florio was just survive, survive, survive. I feel like we should have just carried that over for an extra week.
Yeah, Angelidis has just lost that place to Concalves. He's now got Alexander Schultz mixing up right behind him. That is, of course, a pro and am battle. On your screen at the moment is Max Sunfenlap. He is sitting in currently, I believe, he is 8th in class, with Eugene Monsieur right behind him. So Monsieur in the Aston Martin GT3, Sunfenlap in that beautiful Corvette there. I don't know what it is. I'm the Corvette lover. I think there's been somebody else off the side of the circuit. Vasilis Kataranakis has been off in the Aston Martin. He's come out of Atlanta, he's spun it up and away he went. And Yasha Schmidt is another car that's also been off the side of the circuit as well. And unfortunately for him, he's bounced the cars at the curbs coming through Piratella. So for Yasha Schmidt there, unfortunately, a bit of a dramatic moment. This is Kataranakis on your screen. See him on the exit of Arianta Alta. He hits the curb, hits the accelerator, and goes off. And then Yasha Schmidt goes off not too far behind that one. And Ben Kesby does the same thing, round the left-hander of Piratella, just goes straight on, completely misses into everything and into the wall. Eric Monet is another one that's gone off circuit. That's coming down into Tamburella as well. Otherwise, we will be here. It will just be a complete broadcast of replays going on. I mean, place at the moment, but Luke Mitchell there tracking after Dan Hurlock with Mike Bell in there, Adam Gray's in there, but Gray's already a lap down as well, Brad. A lot going on, and an hour and 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need to use the bathroom, do anything, grab some popcorn, grab a drink, you're probably not going to have a good time to do it. So I would say just watch on your phone, turn the audio up, and then just make sure you're listening, because you will hear the oohs and ahs of me and James, and you won't hear Paul. We hear Paul, though, as this race goes on. We're riding on board with Dan Hurlock, who, as we said, is trying to chase down Mike Bell here as they go through Alta, have the run down towards the Ravazza. And I mean, the GT3 traffic really isn't playing into Hurlock's favor, but I feel like it kind of, I don't know how you can work the traffic, because there's so much traffic. We talk about that you need to work traffic and let traffic be in your favor and make things work. And Hurlock's having a hard time doing that, and now Mitchell is right in the mix there in the Isoda and is going to continue chasing down. This is a GT3 battle, Smith and Zalecki. They're just side by side there. Watch the hypercar go on the outside. Try to slot in behind the hypercar there, and Smith is going to try to run through. Or actually, sorry, Zalecki runs through on Smith. So there we go. Zalecki now up into P11. That is the GT3s taking advantage of the hypercars. Hypercar comes through, get behind them on the main straight, get a little bit of slipstream, and that can let you kind of snake your way past.
Yeah, it was. They were literally at one point being overtaken by all of the hypercars going around the Ravazza. It was quite a chaotic moment. And the top lane has almost just used Jaime Zalecki. Benjamin Porteous Heath is off in the background. He's just gone off the side of the circuit as well there, as we drop down back into the GT3 battle of Max Sumferlap, who's got Dan Hurlock on Luke.
Oh.
Oh, yay. Yep.
Now, James,
I'm not saying
I
bit it in my mouth, I bit on my tongue, I bit on my lip, I've bitten everything at the moment, and I'm not saying a single thing because of the just single thing that I could end up saying would possibly singly get me in trouble. So I'm not saying anything else about what I really want to say about, but
in the pits.
To start coming in, yes, Kirby, Bell, Hurlock, and Mitchell. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah, this race is going to be a lot to keep up with. And I think it's going to show a lot of challenges between the GTP and GT3 drivers of what the case of traffic, and, you know, we've talked about it. We've talked about it over and over, so I'm not going to harp on it. I'm not going to harp on blue flags or anything, but it is the case of you need to not compete or obstruct with the lapping car. The lapping car needs to make a clean pass. And it's going to go to show for me that a lot of these drivers are going to need to work on their passing skills a little bit. A lot of these hypercar guys are also going to have to, for lack of a better phrase, pull up the bootstraps and get a little more confident in getting their way around those GT3 cars. They need to be very willing to move through, and we saw that early on in the beginning there with Kirby, who was very willing to send his car through and take it. Oh, and that's probably not what you want to do as a hypercar. That is Dinu. That was Dinu. I didn't get a good glimpse of that one, so I'm not going to try to assign fault. But again, hypercars, you've got to make sure you're clear. James, you said it earlier, if you don't have a friend spotting, you're in for a bad day.
Yeah, it's got to be a 50-50 relationship. You've got to do the dance going down, you know, and if you're not doing that, you are in trouble. There is so much. I mean, Dinu has just gone off again, mind you, so he's having a bit of a horrendous time. I don't know if Dinu's, Dinu's now in the pits. I think Dinu was just basically getting a little bit excited, being leading of the race, and therefore I had a little bit of a moment. We'll try and get you an off-board as well, so we can clearly see what Michele Dinu has got himself up to. You can see Gan, I believe that's actually, why are you doing that?
That's just
Jesus.
not, no.
It's not even cricket. You've got to play lacrosse or something. What the?
Okay, I'm going to just clarify myself for a second, James. I'm going to let James stew on that, and I'm going to clarify my comment from about 3 minutes ago about hypercars need to be more aggressive. Do not do that. There is a thing of being more aggressive and willing to, get the pass on the inside of a corner. Do not send it in the middle of two GT3 cars battling for position. You do not get the clear space in the middle. I don't care who you are. That is not the smart move. And do not do that. Why would you do that? I don't care what your logic is. Don't do that.
I don't really know why you would, or why you want to, or why you're even attempting to. It's just ridiculous that moving on before my head explodes. I think that's going to be a problem. I think I'm a lover of GT3, GTP, blue flag rules. We know that, and everyone needs to know that as well. But it's got to be Hypercar to try and make a clean move. If you're going to go and send it 3 wide, then you're in for a ridiculous evening of racing. Bell and Kirby, they just nearly made contact as well. Bell took a run down the outside as Jaime Selecki as they ended up on the grass there. Down Mike Bell. That's one we're trying to have a look back at as well. This battle is raging on. Bell is not giving it up. He is playing with Dan Kirby. He's fighting with Kirby. Here we come. You see Mike Bell is like a partition of the waves here as he comes through. Variant out on the rundown into Ravazza. It's all a little bit scrappy. Kirby shuts him off. Bell shoves him the other side of the GT3. Yeah, and he just pushes him through. Bell then does end up taking the position away from Kirby as well. So Mike Bell now back out in front here between Kirby. Hurley. Points. You have to. Gee whiz, Batman. Pull up your big boy pants, get your sensible head on, and survive. And if you're gonna want points, you've got to survive. To score points or to finish first, you've got to finish. It's the same with the point situation. You have to make sure that you complete this race, because at the moment, I can guarantee that probably, I don't know, we'll finish 40, maybe 41. To run around and go, whatever you want to go and do. I don't really care, but it's got to be a 50-50 here, and it's just, you can't blame either class. You've got to look at what the situation was in the build up to it.
I'm going to say 35 cars at the end, and my reasoning for that is what you just touched on. It's the fact that we're should know better than what they're trying to pull, and it's genuinely shocking to me that this is what's happening. And again, I've commentated in races and leagues where the drivers just have terrible sportsmanship, just boneheaded moves, purposely wrecking people, revenge wreck, stuff like that. None of that's happening here, but it's just drivers are losing their laps in judgment on a 90-minute race. And I know we said, this is going to be a quick race, this is a quick sprint. It's still 90 minutes. Every moment is not your last. You said it, James. First, you have to finish. Nobody cares where you were at 30 minutes into a 90-minute race. So what in the world is happening?
What is going on? Adrian Rice, where are you expecting the cars to go? 2 wide round variant out there, and if you have spun, I'm not entirely sure where you're expecting Overton to go. It's just a lot going on. Adrian Rice here. So much happening. So much going on. And this is just unbelievable with this amount. Craig Pullen and Concalves had a moment. They've come together. And that's why Pullen's gone round with Concalves, as Concalves now sits there and waits. However, Pullen Yeah, Pullen does start making a move there as well. So Goncalves and Pullen had a bit of a moment together, and unfortunately Goncalves went to go up the inside. There was no room at the end, and Pullen has taken that position away. And I think two things are going to happen at the end of this. The only good thing is I've got a hat on at the moment, so I won't end up pulling my hair out and being completely bald. And it has just been insane. Yeah, they keep cutting out there in the broadcast booth, or is it just on my end? It's still happening. We'll have a look and see what's going on, you see. So not too sure on that one, as we've been told that everything sounds okay from our producer's end. So unfortunately, unless it's just peaking in the booth itself, that could well be the problem. But we'll have a look back and see from there as well.
Yeah, I don't. It's James. This race is frustrating me. We're 30 minutes into an hour-and-a-half race. Pit stop chaos is going on. Driver chaos is going on. However, I will say that the battle for the hypercar lead very much has my interest because you've got 3 drivers separated by 3 seconds. So I'm enjoying the racing, even if it is just very hard to keep up with at times. It's not boring like Qatar. It's keeping things entertaining. But it's like I said, it seems like there's something that's just off this week for the drivers, and just their head isn't there. It's not in the game, and I don't know if it's just the nature of Imola, as we've discussed, if it's just the nature of things or what it is. But man, it's been interesting.
Yeah, it has. And the thing is, it's you know, it's not easy doing what they're doing with that was Benjamin Porteous Heath who went round, unfortunately for him, right in front of Alexander Schultz, is going to get back up and running. But it's not easy doing what they're doing, and we respect that, and I understand that, and we're not completely oblivious to the world that you guys are in at this moment on the racetrack. We understand it's going to be tough, but you've got to be that man that's got to sit back and think, what the gee whizzing blinking Norman am I going to gain from doing whatever I'm doing on the racetrack right now? If you come out of this and the first thing you do is jump into that Discord track, into that Discord booth and go, oh, it was this, it was Bill, it was Bob, it was Ben, it was the Flower Pot Ben, it was the Ghost of Casper, it was whoever, I don't care. Go back and look at yourself and look at what you've done. Because every incident can't be completely other people's faults. And I'm hoping that there's some sensibility that comes out of this from some of these, and they do look back and go, oh, you know, from Dinu's point of view, oh, I shouldn't have decided that I was going to shove it 3 wide through an ever-closing gap through GT3s that are instantly going to wash out coming down into Ravazza. You know, there's got to be a look back. John Uyan just about to try and go on the inside of Matthew Overton. He thinks twice bet of it there. That is great, sensible driving from John Uyan. He knows he can't get him into that bit. The GT3 is going to wash out. You're asking Matthew Overton a lot to take that onto the inside. He managed to. Now Benjamin Porteous Heath is going to sit back. He's going to see these guys go through. John Uyan, Cameron Barker going through. There's Buse, and I've got a feeling that was Mike Buse, and I've got a funny feeling there may have been contact. Nope, he hits the curb. He goes, unfortunately, across the back of the track, and he manages to hold it on there as well. So Mike Buse having a bit of a moment further back. So, yeah, battles all the way through. Dan Kirby now in 4th place here. Who is that?
The replay here is like our second big spin. I mean,
I
know we talk about a big one.
Or was that Mike? That's still the Mike Buse incident from earlier, isn't it? I think. On that one, I believe that may have been Mike Buse rejoined, and he tries to get the car round, doesn't get it round, goes, hits the barrier. Then Stevens coming round to the left, do it with the Brun and Bowders. And he manages to keep it on there, but we picked up on John Uyan, and I believe that may have been Ryan Reyes, who we saw in the background. They're going through Ravazza. There's also looks like Benjamin Porteous Heath in the front of us, as I've just seen.
Oh, go, Hypercars. John Ulian. Oh, it's continuing with traffic, James. It's just, I feel like the next 54 minutes are just going to be us constantly watching Hypercars and GT3s just cause chaos with it. Oh, on your brake! Who was that?
Is that Norm Graf?
Oh my gosh, whoever that was just completely did not brake for the corner.
It looked like Norm Graf and Craig Pullen, I think. Yeah, Norm Graf and Craig Pullen. Norm coming up to barrier and to outer. The green is Craig Pullen on your screen. He just completely gets it all a little bit peaked on. Norm Graf then ends up going and manages to survive. So, yeah, just full-on action all the way through. You can see in the Hypercar AMS at the moment, Jerry Chen and Scar Pope are probably one of the closest lead battles that we've got here. And we'll bring you up and have a quick refresh of the overlay on the left-hand side as well to bring you up the accurate times at the moment. So we've got the pit lane times on the left-hand side that will refresh and we'll go into live time, I'm sure, very, very shortly. But Jerry Chen there doing a great job. Scar Pope learning off his earlier incident, taking it a little bit more simpler. Ernest Bernardo behind that. They've just cleared James Bowders, who is currently 4 laps down, I believe, over the leaders. 2 laps in class, if I'm not mistaken. Jason Whitehead is out, Stuart Barge is out here. And, well, Brad, I don't really know what... I don't really know what's going to be the most sensible thing to look at because there's so much going on, and it doesn't even always involve the leaders of classes. It's just everybody around is, I don't know, is it a full moon? Is it?
Yeah,
is it a full moon? I'm not entirely sure what, but sometimes it's been a little bit messy.
Well, remember, there is a solar eclipse on Monday, so I think that might have something to do with it here. I'm going to read a comment from Mr. Reese. The race itself is kind of a problem. Too many cars on such a small track, multiple cars on box spots that can block and lock each other out.
There's another one round.
It's very... Stacy said people's tempers are getting shorter and shorter by the lap, so... I'm wondering.
Monet.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's happening. And Monet DNFing now, so.
Yeah, he's given up. He's gone back to the pits road. You cannot have. He's gone over the bumps. He's rattled it round. He's given his teeth a shake, and then unfortunately goes round on the run down now. So Eric Monet, unfortunately, looks like one of the third DNFs. So for him, unfortunately, but Jerry Chen and Scar Pope's just trying to wiggle his way through the traffic as well. I hear a few apologies after the race. I think you might be right, Miss Stacey. I can tell you that one as well. It's very difficult, and to be fair, we sit here and we look back and we think 54 cars at Imola is going to be horrendous, especially when there's 30 hypercars as well. And, you know, they've got to be looking at this to lay a precedent for the next one, Brad, and go, I think we'll limit this to 40 or 45. This is, I don't know if this is just far too many cars.
Well, think about all the things that are in play here when you're running a race like this. So not only do you have 55 cars, you have people's internet, everyone's across the country. You've got the latency effect is in there as well. You've got just the nature of R factor 2 has to be accounted for. You know, I like R factor 2, but it has its quirks that you have to be prepared for. So there's just so many different things that are kind of going in the mix that play against it. I think in real life, cars, real racers on this track, might be pushing it. And I think it's just the nature of things. You know, if we can get Paul to pull up the track map on the top right-hand side, just look at all of the clumps of cars and the clusters of cars all the way through the field. The thing is, you know, we've had DNFs. We've had people drop out at this point, and we still have this many cars running this together, this close, this mixed up. It makes it a lot. And the thing is, you know, you get into the mix of, it's the point where you kind of have to sit back and say, where is too much? At what point do we say, okay, this is too much?
Where would this work? You know, we've got Spa on there, which might work. Le Mans might work. And then I'm sitting back thinking, Glen, Sao Paulo, Kota, Fuji, Indy, Road Atlanta.
Some of these races are going to be interesting. If Imola is going to... I don't want to hold Imola as the kind of to the wall to say Imola is showing us what's coming. But think about Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen has a similar characteristic to Imola. It's very windy, it's narrow, passing is very hard there as it is. You know, I literally just commentated a GT3 race Thursday night with a league, and the amount of wrecks that we saw on the inner loop and through the outer loop through the boot, and that was just GT3 cars. That wasn't mixed class. There wasn't traffic. We watched Pope and Chin here side by side, and believe that is Gonzalez.
Lead for the Hypercar AMS.
Mix. Yeah, Hypercar AMS keeping battles interesting here. Look at this. Things settle out. I think Chin has it for the moment.
Yeah, Chen's got it at the moment. Bernardo's in the middle. He's in a different class. Yeah, is Bernardo in the orange and black with the purple fin, should we call it. Scar Pope tries to get on it again. And Scar Pope trying to get now. I can guarantee he probably wishes Bernardo wasn't there at the moment, because that's for the Hypercar lead. That's for the Hypercar lead. Kataranakis has got off and Brandon Gann. Gann going off in Variante Alta. There was contact with Robert Strachan. Not entirely sure if there was enough room left on that one. And Kataranakis goes off all on his own, spins round in that Aston Martin. So he was getting a car coming round for Kataranakis and scared him a little bit. Yasha Schmidt is a DNF, and Gann and Strachan. As I said, Strachan makes contact with Gann on the inside. I'm not entirely sure too wide right around the outer. Regardless, you could be on a moped or a blinking rubber line, it still ain't going to work. You've got to, you know, you'll take your cars 2 meters wide almost through a part of a circuit that's probably only 3.4 meters wide, and you're wondering why you're making contact. I think coming into this today, from my own preparation, if I was a driver, and don't get me wrong, I'm not, but if I was this, I would have looked at outer and gone, whatever goes on at the rest of the circuit, I am not putting Variante Alta too wide regardless, because you are not going to get the room. Whatever you don't achieve in outer, you can achieve down in Rafazza. It's just a no-go area. You've got to mark the map out on that one. Mr. Lee's coming on the track map there, constantly so interesting to see. The Jenny Chen now with Ernest Bernardo. Scarpo has lost a bit of positions, as you can see with Matthew Overton on the screen. He's still racing down Robert Strachan. The Jesus is a little quiet here, but Overton and Strachan is broken down. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Selecki and Ross Smith, they're not very far apart at the moment. They're only about 4.5 tenths back. It looks like Yasha Schmidt's being the field.
Yeah, the field's keeping things interesting. Paul's been in our ear a few times, oohing and awing because of the action going on. We still have pit stop cycles going through. We still have things going on. Let's get a quick replay real quick here. Let's see some action. Let's see. How does this go down? GT3 Hypercars trying to battle, and we see this is again going into turn 1. And oh, you gotta hit your braking points, friends. Turn 1 is an interesting braking point to say. Comes back out on, joins in, not too many issues there, and then gets back going. Tom Mountjoy, attention stewards, strap yourselves in for a long week. He said that in the Discord. And Alan Holden says stewarding is going to be interesting. So even the drivers are aware of lots of things coming their way and of keeping things going. And James, there's action anywhere you want to look here. And we've hit the halfway point of this race.
We've hit the halfway point, and we've got lapped hypercars. We've got hypercar AMs, hypercar pros, and GT3s. Pro and am trying to make this work, and somehow they're doing it. But now those pulled out, he's got no thank you very much. There, we lost some gas. As we said a little bit earlier on, he joined in with a list of the others. Scarpo, Jerry Chen going for it now. Can.
This is one of those moments where I'm scared that I don't want to know. Yeah, James, I don't want to know what's going on in your head because you went, oh, and then got very quiet very quick. So, yeah, I have a feeling.
Again, in which hypercar pro, you can see Tom Mills just got the second picture there. Bell is Herlock's in the pits, Graph's in the pits, hypercar AMs. So keep an eye and see what's going to happen here after the pit stop cycles as can carry on with his battles. Curtin just goes round all on his own. Mike Bell in the bottom right hand corner as he has just come out of the pits. He's lost places to Dinu and Barker and Lane and Kirby, but again he's pitted. Paul James and the voices in his head, says Stacey. Yeah, I had to tell myself to be a little bit quiet there because there was an interesting development of some of these people. I just shut up. Help me not talk.
Why are you asking me to throw you a lifeline right now? I mean, I will, don't get me wrong.
I don't want a lifeline, I want the RNLI. I need a lifeboat. I need a lifeboat, I don't need a lifeline.
Why is Dan Kirby not pitting? I mean, yeah, but man, I'm still shocked to see him still out there, still running, still going. I really figured he'd be in the pits. Considering Lane, Barker, Dinu, Bell of all pit, Herlock's in. I mean,
the first split, second sectors. Let's see what's going on here down in the GT3. Gant, Strachan, and Overton. These guys are trying to play catch up in the Aston Martin. It's Matthew Overton at the moment. Done racing GT3s, but Robert Strachan moving forward side by side with Gant in the Mustang. He's got all the horses, he's got none of the power.
contact in my ear, and it doesn't surprise me at all. We've seen it over and over and over this race for all of this time.
Which one are we looking at? Is this going to be the Bell? Yeah, Mike Bell is very, very interesting. Yeah, because Smith also loses it in front of that, and forces. Watch Smith come in. He's already spinning. Bell's already gone. Bell's onto the grass, trying to make his way back out there, but Ross Smith had already gone round, and he's done it, I believe, on his own. He has. He's hit the curb. He's gone round. That then brought Selecki into it. He just went round. Like Bell had to go round as well, and Ahmed Selecki then ended up joining into the event and going round once more. So battles. Kirby's now into the pits. It's like Ross Smith just sitting there looking at each other, turning between their legs, thinking, oh my dear, I can guarantee they caught that one. And Selecki does get out of the way there, and that Ferrari has gone. Hunter goes through once more. So some action taking place. Gant still in the battle.
Yeah, I think alternate strategy here, because we've talked about the pit lane fiasco, and I saw a photo and a screenshot earlier of them 5 wide in the pit lane. And honestly, wouldn't blame him, even though it's kind of offsetting him a bit, but we'll see how it can play out in the end. Again, this is where the endurance racing strategy comes in. 37 minutes left to go here in this race, so anything can still happen. Because we've got Lane into the pits now. Leaders in.
Yeah, we have there as well. James losing out a bit to the cars in the mix. James's mic is quiet, so I'll see what's going on there as well. Craig Pullen just making his way through Joshua Petrie. He's got Norm Graff not too far behind, so that's a little bit of a battle taking place there between Graff and Pullen as they just cleared Katarinakis here. The leaders, Bell and Herlock, as Lane has gone in. Where is Mr. Kirby? Kirby's come out down in 7th. He's in the mix with Graff, and he's starting to try and siphon his way through the traffic against for Dan Kirby. So action taking place here all the time, Brad, and we've still got 36 minutes to go.
Yeah, 36 minutes left to go. I don't see this race slowing down anytime soon. Granted, I think everyone's settled in. I think a lot of the jitters are through. I'm sure some people have been, yelling at each other to kind of calm down a bit. So I think some of the chaos is done, at least for the minute. But then again, you look at that track map at the top right, and you're probably just laughing at me if you're in chat right now. You're probably just kind of like, no, Brad, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Which, sometimes there's those moments. Here's Uyen going around Sellers. This is the battle for P9, as we see an Uyen right there around. Mind the Porsche. That's deja vu. I feel like I've said that once before because of a white Porsche in the mix. On a pass with Hypercars, but there it is, John Uyen with Slipstream down the main straight. The real big passing opportunity getting through. I say the real big passing opportunity, of course, because I'm used to Formula One around Imola and seeing that, but here it seems like anywhere you can really stick a nose in, you can get a pass done. So passing all over the track. Here we go. This is another battle. This is Mr. De Bruin going around the outside of a GT3 with Dahlgren close behind in tow as they run down in through Tosa. They're heading towards Piratella now, and there's the nice little sweeping left-hander of Piratella as they make their way around and continue this battle for P7. Gaps are very close, but it's, again, the passing is so challenging here that those gaps being close doesn't mean the most to the world, because right now Bell and Herlock 0.3 of a second behind. That's the battle for overall, and then you've still got just everyone. It's very packy through the field. It's very, very packy, James. That's the best way to describe it.
It is, when you got Galvin, Ponticif, De Bruin, Dahlgren not very far apart whatsoever. 34 minutes on the clock left, and we've still got cars everywhere. Bell and Herlock are not very far apart in that Hypercar AMS. They're coming through outer. They're trying to, at the moment, lap Scar Pope there, but you can see on your screen you've got the De Bruin situation. I'm not going to call it a battle, it just looks like a war as Dahlgren is climbing all over him. Uyan's in there, there's GT3s in there, Pro and AMS. There's, for all I matter, there could be Santa Claus in his sleigh and his reindeers in there. It's all just going off.
Yeah, things are going to continue to just kind of ebb and flow. I think that's going to be the big thing, and it's the thing we always talk about whenever we get in these longer mixed class races. You're going to have moments of big battles. You're going to have moments where things calm down. Granted, the calming down has been very, very slow to actually happen here throughout this race, as we see Barker is just continuing to run on lane. Bell and Herlock still need to kind of pit through and go in. We'll see how that unfolds. I'm just trying to look through and just see where all of the action is. I mean, it's just everything's everywhere. Man, James, this is a race that I didn't know what it was going to be going into it. It's turned out through, but 30 minutes left to go. At this point, this is where the drivers need to be really pushing it. They need to really keep things going and push through. And if you are Mr. Dan Herlock, you probably just heard what I said, and you're probably going to start pushing for the lead here. 30 minutes to go. You don't have a lot of time left, and Dan Herlock is going to try to take advantage, get around Mike Bell where he can, because this gap is, I mean, they're separated by a nose hair.
Yeah, they are at the moment, and it's just a non-stop battle with Bell and Herlock. Tom Lane, and also it was Dino at one point. They've now gone away from that situation. As you can see, Bell and Herlock there. That was Robert Strachan. Peter Stefani, sorry, in the background has just been overtaken. Mike Bell and Dan Herlock continuing to fight as we go into the last 32. There is one more pit stop coming out of the Hypercars. I can guarantee you on that one. GT3s, we said 2 stops here, Brad, for the GT3s, and I don't think there's many more to come. There might be one more towards the end, but I can definitely guarantee that the Hypercars have got one more stop. And is Bell... Okay, so let me rephrase that, sorry. Is Herlock going to go in and cover Bell off, or is he going to go? Yay!
Oh boy, that is Herlock. I know I talked about how you're pretty aggressive with your passing earlier, but man, that was a sin that I wasn't expecting, and I'm very glad that the GT3 that was there on the outside opened the eyeballs and saw that one coming. We'll get a quick replay here of that moment there between Bell and Herlock, because look at this. I mean, he's going through. The GT3s are there side by side. The GT3 wants to try a pass up the inside, and Herlock said, no, thank you, I'm already here. Thankfully, heads up driving by everyone involved to make sure nothing too wild happened there. Nothing crazy happened. Nobody got in an incident. And now we jump back here because Herlock is now getting caught up with traffic as they head towards Variante Alta. Out of that, they head now down towards Ravazza. This is the battle with De Bruin and Ulyan that is continuing to just ebb and flow back and forth. Every time they hit that main straight, it change around. So there is De Bruin through, it's Ross ahead of him there in the GT3, who they are trying to get past. I love the pink GT3s. I love the bright colors. They're easy to see, they're easy to identify. De Bruin is getting through, not too many issues. Dahlgren's not that far off in the background. I mean, man, James, I don't know what you're looking at particularly, but I tell you what, you can find a battle anywhere and keep things going because these guys are continuing to push. I believe this is one of the buses that is going through. Oh, what was that? Oh man, that is
Is that Matthew? Was it
so,
Matthew or
yeah.
Mike? Mike actually with Michael Locke, wasn't it?
Yeah, that.
Well.
What was the hypercar doing?
Well, he got too close. I think the problem is Mike looked like he wasn't going in and then went to the right-hand side to look like he was going in. So, unfortunately, it was a bit of 6 of one and half a dozen of the other on that, I think. As I'm still willing to keep my calm at the moment, Brad. I'm preserving my judgments as Dahlgren and Luke Mitchell are going at each other. Mitchell side by side with Dahlgren at the moment. You can see on your screen currently. And then you've got Matt Overton and Robert Strachan, who have also been scrapping it out in the GT3s. Dahlgren did lose a little bit of time there, unfortunately for him. So Overton, Poyas Heath. There was it looked like there was one sat in the wall at the bottom there. I don't know who that was. So some action taking place here, and a lot of action here as well, Brad. I think just yeah, whatever.
The commentator was too stunned to speak, is what just came out of that, because there is another big one. A big one is relative. In the GT3 trying to go up the inside to make a pass. The Hypercars are in the middle there. I believe that's Angelitas there. I believe it's Ross. I see the Ford there. I can't tell who the other Hypercar was, though, that really kicked things off there. But Wilkes with avoiding action in the mix. I mean, I know the audience, but Paul is kind of cackling in our ear. Adam Gray here having a moment. We'll see, is this curbs? Is this no? It's just running wide there, going towards Aquaman Alley and off. And then here is Mike Bell. What happens with Mike Bell? Is this through the middle of two GT3? Why do you do that? Mike Bell, why? You're in the battle for the win overall. Why do you run between two GT3s? Oh. I didn't know Paul was Australian, but he's just said crikey O'Reilly. James, did you go to make a cup of tea to calm down, or a cup of coffee, or a cup of whatever you drink? Or are you still with me here in the battle with Lane?
I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm thinking before I speak, which is a big thing for me. As Michele Dino is making contact with Dan Kirby as well, and I'm just I think there's just been too many, and we really need to get this reduced. This is just too much. You know, the penalties coming out of this is going to be not A4, it won't be A5, it will be blinking A3 and a blinking billboard poster out in the street for New York City's Times Square. It's just unbelievable, and there's a lot of everything. There's a lot of hypercar diving, there's a lot of GT3s, some, you know, not always being in the right place where they need to. There's a lot of everything, and that's the thing. It's not just one thing. It's not just one individual. It's not one class. It's all of it coming together. It's like we've seen, the only way I can put it here is when your leader goes between two GT3s, you're in trouble, right? And it's a catalyst. And from that catalyst, there's fireworks, and from the fireworks, there's a Chinese light display. You know, we've had more fireworks in this race than we're probably going to see for the whole of the Chinese New Year. It's just unbelievable, and like, I know the eclipse is coming, and I saw a message earlier about it, and I know, looking out my window, it looks like I've got a little bit of a moon going on, but it doesn't mean we have to drive like Nikita Mazepin. You know, it's just not, it's not cricket. When, you know, it ain't push to pass, it ain't punt to pass, it's pass. And there's too many for this situation, I think. And I don't know. I dread to think 60 cars at Watkins. I'm dreading 60 cars at my favourite circuit of Interlagos, and I'm dreading 60 cars or 55 cars at Road of America or Road Atlanta. It is just going to be...
It'll be something. It'll be something. Well, and you know, like, I have the thought with it too, and I'm going to try to phrase this as diplomatically and as nicely as possible, as to not get myself in trouble. When you have this many cars and you're a driver involved in the mess, it makes you not want to race in the mess. And it makes it where in future events, such as the said tiny tracks we've named, if I'm a driver, I don't want to be in the mess.
No.
So it adds that, but not to mention just the penalties coming out of this. It's going to feel like J.K. Rowling wrote a Harry Potter book.
We haven't, you know, if we wrote a book here, we've probably written, you know, more chapters than the Bible, or more chapters than a Stephen King novel. you've got to think that if we put this into an auto race AI generated race report, how long would it be? Because there's just been so much going on with everything, and you know, we tried to keep up with as much action as we possibly can, but there's a lot of everything else around that action, and it's not even the action that half the time causes the problem, you know. And that's the thing, it's got to be very, very sensible here, and it's not always a sensible thing. James Walker's just taken the lead in the GT3, by the way, which has just gone into the pit lane. He's just coming out the other side. So James Walker back in front there. There's a couple of other people's in. Brian Hall's just got in. Wilkes has got in. Galvin's in. Kamaranakis. I did say there was one more pit stop for each class to come. And I think the racing's been really, really tough, and it's been really, really hard. And is there a right way of racing this circuit? No. Is there a wrong way of racing this circuit? Probably. I don't really know what to say. I think it's been very, very tough to watch some of what's gone on and some of the things that's gone on, and that's the thing for me, Brad. I think I love good racing, I love clean racing, and I love chaotic racing. It's why we do this every single day, or why I work from home and do it 7 days a week, 365 days a year, unless I go on holiday. But some of this has been hard, it's been tough to sit back and watch when you're just looking at the events list and you're going off track and you click on it and it's two cars involved again with each other, and then you got another thing and then another thing, and then sometimes there's a driver error, and then we see a couple of big ones, and it's been really tough, and I think that's the thing. So, but let's keep picking it up with JT Tammy. There is Tammy, Miller and Junt. Miller is the lapped car. JT Tammy and David Junt battling it out for first and second in the GT3 AMS.
Yeah, and as we watch these battles go through, the thing is, some of these moves are very just uncharacteristic of all of these drivers that we know. And that is, I think, the biggest thing that I'm taking away from Imola, is that it's uncharacteristic to what I'm expecting. And as we ride on board here with, who is this? JT Tammy making an error there with Junt, as we see them battling through the hypercar, getting out of the way, no issues. Another hypercar coming through as these drivers have the run up through Villeneuve, and now they're heading into Toza, which is just that uphill left-hander. I mean, it's good battling. And the thing is, look at this. We're literally 20 minutes left to go. I still don't know who's going to win. I don't know who's winning hypercars. I don't know who's winning GT3s. I don't know who's got class wins, really, except for maybe Pope and the hypercar AMs. And that's how close and competitive the racing has been. But it's been just, other than the close battles up front, it's been interesting. And oh, David Junt making a small error there. And now JT Tammy is going to keep pushing. A hypercar's in the mix now. Oh, hypercar snake it through Aquaman Alley. Settles in, patience there through, and now use the power, go around the outside. And now come on, JT, you've got to follow him through. Another hypercar in the mix, and a third one. Is the hypercar going to make a move? No, the hypercar behind settles in, stays single file, coming out through the Variante Alta. Very good decision there. Now the hypercars need to get their way around. Come on, now get behind the hypercar. There we go, behind the hypercar, but JT Tammy covers it off, and oh, man. Junt covering it off. Thank you for the correction there in my ear, Paul, as I get so excited. But this is good battling. This is good action, as we see with 20 minutes left to go, as things continue to push through. We'll see how this develops here. Tammy is in a good battle. This is the battle for P1 in class, battle for P1 in the GT3 overall. How does this play out? I don't know, because we've still got 20 minutes remaining as the timer's there. Oh, hard on the brakes is JT Tammy.
Yeah, that was Dahlgren, Sellers and De Bruyn in the hypercars. They're battling it out at the moment for 9th, 10th and 11th in the hypercar pro category. They were the one who was weaving past this JT Tammy David Junt battle there. As you can see on the left-hand side, we've still got the Junt battle on the bottom right, of course, with JT Tammy. So a great little battle returning there. Sellers and Dahlgren going on at it once again here with Mark Sunflab in that Corvette trying to catch up in the background. Never going to happen, dear sir, but well done. Keep trying. But David Junt and JT Tammy still coming keeping this going. John Yuan looks like he's made a mistake. There was a hypercar. No, there was a literally an incident with John Uyan. We're going to need to go back a little bit. If we can bring it in a little bit closer. There was a incident with John Uyan in this race. I think there was Brandon Gant and Stephen Miller. And there you go. It looks like he locked up. Did he coming in? And he did lock up there.
Yeah, it's very... Man, I feel for every driver. I feel for the hypercars trying to snake their way through GT3s. I feel for the GT3s trying to stay out of the way of hypercars and have hypercars pass them. Things are going through. Do we have the leaders overall in the pits? Am I reading that right? Bell and Herlock both in the pits now? So let's see how that plays out, because again, that is gonna, I think, really set the battle for the overall of hypercar, James, as we watch them go through. We'll see 18 minutes left to go. Hypercars should have one more pit stop, I believe.
No, it'll be the last one. It should be the last one for most of these. They should be on the last 17 minutes out. Michele Dinu is down in 6th at the moment. He's battling away with Tom Lane, not very far apart as well. So that's a battle in the Hypercar Pros for 6th and 5th and 6th here. And Dinu and also Tom Lane battling out as James Walker in front. We've got Mike Bell and as well, he's just coming out of the pits, I believe, as Dan Herlock is there with Dan Kirby in 3rd as well. And Lane and Dino, as we said, picked up on earlier just a couple of minutes ago that Dino and Lane are scrapping it out for that 5th and 6th place.
Yeah, they're scrapping out P5, P6 still through, but again, with pit stop cycles, this could very much, wow, Paula James here, very much create a good battle near the end to see who can finish where. And we still have the GT3 battle raging strong there in the bottom right corner of your screen. So it's still anyone's game for every position. We've still got very, very close battles and gaps all the way through the field. I don't see any reason why anyone can't find more spots or lose spots respectively as we go through. We've got another yellow flag. Looks like something's happened in Tamburello, which these GT3s are running up on right now. Looks like something with hypercars potentially there, if I had to guesstimate based on the track map. But still, Junt Tammy battling it out. Look how close this is. Look how different the line is that JT Tammy is taking compared to David Junt as we run through. And he's trying to make a move. He's really just got to get a little brave on the brakes, I think, especially going into like Tamburello, Villeneuve, the Alta, just a little bit brave on the brakes and try to find a little bit more space on the inside.
Yeah, Adam Gray down in Ravazza, Peter Stefani then had a moment with Benjamin Porteous Heath as well. That was a run through the Piratella. The both of them ended up in the barrier. Gordon Strachan just missed both of them and managed to make it through. Brian Hall has also had a moment as well, but Michele Dinu, Tom Lane still considering going and scrapping it out once again as these guys are racing frantically here towards this last 15 minutes here, Brad. It's been a very interesting hour and 15, and I don't expect the last 15 to be any quieter as Dino is trying it round Tom Lane, round the Piratella. He's not going to make it this time. I can tell you that much on the run down the hill into Acqua Minerale. I'm not quite sure where that yellow, I don't know if you'll see it, that yellow blob in the middle of the run down from Piratella to Acqua Minerale. Dinu doesn't make it through the Acqua Minerale this time, as they have got a back marker at Kataranakis. Then they've got Ryan Reyes in front of him as well. Reyes has had a...
GT3 in the middle. That's going to open this battle up a lot, but I still think Dinu has pace to try to close back in and try to catch up a lane. But you can see just how much traffic plays a part in everything. And Kirby into the pits now, it looks like.
Yeah, Dan Kirby's gone in. That will be his final stop. It'll be Dinu and Tom Lane going through now. Junt and Tammy are still making the battle commencing here as John Uyan's trying to weave his way through these guys at the moment. On your screen, obviously, Lane and Dinu still fighting it out. as they go past one of the Mustangs. So, yeah, so still action to come, and I think some more action to have. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few more little bit of ta-ta-tas.
Yeah, it's 13 minutes to go, and considering that 5 minutes into the race, we were getting how'd you say that, James? Ta-ta-tas?
Ta-ta-tas, yep.
Okay,
A little bit of
considering
ta-ta-ta.
Yeah, considering 5 minutes into the race, we were having a bit of action chaos and some ta-ta-tas. I would be surprised if the remaining 13 minutes and 38 seconds are any different as we go through. I don't know what Tammy needs to do at this point to get past Junt, but Tammy needs to figure it out, because Tammy has been stuck there for a significant amount of time, and they're similar on pace, yes, but I mean, JT Tammy, you've got to find something somewhere. You've got slipstream, you've got everything. I don't know if you need to just sneak around with a hypercar, try for some hard braking into Tamburello. Let's find a way and get through. Right there, pull to the left, go with the hypercars. Come on, go with the hypercars.
Junt tucks in behind him. The problem is every single straight that JT Tammy's had an opportunity to even remotely make an overtake on David Junt, he's been blocked by a hypercar on the outside. And it's going to happen continually. There is not a physical area on this racetrack where David Junt and JT Tammy have not had a hypercar. And there goes Daniel Herlock. Then we've got Alexander Schultz. Then we've got Norm Graff. They're all sitting there behind them. So there's literally nothing that JT Tammy could do apart from survive here, as Sunderlap tries to get out of the way in the Corvette as well. So for JT Tammy, he's just got to be dealing with what he's dealing with and trying to make it work.
Yeah, it's frustrating though. Even as the commentator, and we are very unbiased, and that's a hypercar getting side by side going through Piratella, going around there with JT Tammy. I mean, he's got to do something though, because at this point his chances are just falling to the wayside of him getting the win here in the GT3 class. Right there, follow the hypercar. The hypercar, I thought he was going to think about a move, but he doesn't. Just let's follow the hypercar. Let's keep things moving. Right there, David Junt with a poor exit, and JT Tammy with a poor exit as well. Every time he has a spot where he can try to make a move, he's losing it through. And there we go, a hypercar now in. Traffic.
There's no room. It's like trying to move into a two-bedroom house with a family of 8. It ain't gonna work. There's no room for him. Every time he remotely gets an opportunity, now you would sit back and go, right, now you got an opportunity, and now comes Adrian Rice, and you're like, okay, well, there goes the opportunity again. You know, he's going to go again, but now he's got Peter Meyer on the inside. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place because he ain't going to be able to get him again. Is Meyer going to allow JT Tammy through? No. Are you racing anybody? No. Should you?
James. Oh, 11 minutes left to go in this race, and everything is still popping off here. We still have action everywhere. We still have side-by-side cars. We still have 3, 4, 5 wide going on. I mean, it's anywhere you look, it is action going on. I mean, it's giving chaos. To give a modern phrase through, it's giving chaos.
Mm-hmm. There goes Magnus Dahlgren. And what is Dahlgren in? A hypercar. Why is there a Porsche up on the roof? I can tell you now that that was a Porsche. That was James Bowders on his roof. Yeah, Bowders dug in and is on his roof, unfortunately. I'd like to point that one out here, as we've got what is on the screen at the moment. You're going to have a look at this spectacular James Bowders. He dug in, coming out the corner of Piratella, goes up on his roof. So there we go. Good job, James.
That was a Bristol style short track move. That was the move out of my way or I'll move you out of my way, as I have carnival music in my ear from the lovely Paul.
Right, Tammy's got an opportunity now with Junt. He's got nothing around him apart from Sunderlap. They've cleared the Mercedes in 37th place at this moment in time. Excuse me. Now they've got Eugene Mazur. Junt's going to want to use Mazur as much as possible. JT Tammy, slight little nose rub there. Gave him a little bit of a helpful little push through Tamburello. On the run up into Valiante Villeneuve now, they're frantically thrashing Eugene Mazur in 36th place overall. To try and assist in an overtake and facilitate an overtake, especially when you're at the back of the field. You're going to do the dance and give him an opportunity and facilitate the overtake as Davidson and JT Tammy are trying to get past you. Here, with a hypercar coming, and JT Tammy's opportunity has gone out the window, all because of the cars in and around him facilitating.
I'm gonna side with the YouTube chat. Here we go, JT Tammy. Here's your chance. Come on, there we go to the side.
It's gonna put him in the wall. They're gonna put him in. Oh.
Just go. They're side by side through Alta. Side by side through Alta. There's contact to come around. Ah! And now the hypercars are in the mix. Come on. Oh. It's Kirby and Barker battling for P4 overall, but JT Tammy, you were side by side. Man.
There needs to be room left. We're aware of this situation. But every time JT Tammy remotely puts himself into an opportunity that he's got right now, there is more of an issue in and around him. Kirby is battling away with Barker. They've just cleared Smith. Now Kesby's there. So Kesby again with a hypercar. So JT Tammy's either playing this in a very smart situation to hang on and try and not do anything stupid, because at the end of the day, second is better than nothing. And now David Junt is going to be trying to fight off JT Tammy again as they're continually to fight it out here. And again, they're continually scrapping again. And it's hard, isn't it, Brad? I think when you're looking at some of it.
Here's the thing. We're running in with just a few minutes to go, and at this point, it's the game of survival for David Junt. It's everything he can do to try to keep the faster car of JT Tammy behind. And for him, he is doing everything in his power to try to keep that car back. I mean, he is absolutely moving through. Okay, there's the move back, and Paul's in my ear and saying questionable. I think it's very hard defensive driving, but I think JT Tammy is also not being aggressive enough in the mix. JT Tammy needs to give it a little bit more. Now, granted,
hold on. I'm going to cut you off, right? We've seen Junt cut the nose off JT Tammy quite a few times, right? And I can guarantee Tammy in that car has done one or two things. He's either lifted or he's braked. Are we saying it gets to the point where if David Junt comes across against you again, I ain't lifting? You know what I mean? There's only so many times you're going to put me in for a nose job next to Kim Kardashian. I don't want to be sat there. You know, at the end of the day, you can't keep doing it. You know, there's only so much part of the tomato you can cut down before you start chopping your fingers. And that's the thing for David Junt. He's done it a few times, and we've continually seen it. That's why the questionable is coming back, because it is at times some very questionable situation. Leave him room, because otherwise, I can tell you what, from my perspective, if I was driving in that and I was JT Tammy and my nose had gone twice or three times, I can guarantee by the fourth time something's going to happen, and it ain't always going to be nice, because there's only so much people need to take and learn. And one of the things that David Junt would learn from it would say, okay, well, I can only cut his nose off 4 times before he ends up spinning me, because he doesn't want to lift on me, he doesn't want to brake on me. But why should he if you're trying to cut his nose off on the straight? It's just, there's only so much people could take.
5 minutes left to go here. Something's happened with Kirby. Kirby is off there, and no, there's a slide from JT Tammy back in the background coming out of Alta. So JT Tammy, I feel for you. This is what happened with Kirby going through. Let's see how this happens. I see traffic at the front. Does traffic have anything to do with it? Hard on the brakes. Somebody goes wide. A little bit of fixation there on your vision, and you go wide through a Crevazza as well.
Yeah, but he is still out on track. He's still sitting in 4th place at the moment. Tammy's lost a chunk of time now to Jean. He's got a second to make up. Jean has got the hypercars coming through on him though. So from David Jean, he's got to be making sure that obviously he's allowing them room as he's trying to go past Ross Smith in his own class battle. That was what had happened there with JT Tammy. Smith needs to now, he's done the job, the hypercar's on the gravel, and it's all gone a little bit wrong as JT Tammy there did get a bit of a slide coming out of Arianta Outer. Now they're back together. Now we're back down to 3 temps. Now the war commences. You might win the fight, but are you going to win the war, David Jean? Because you have been in a battle all the way through. The 2 heavyweights, it's like watching Mike Tyson go at it with Evander Holyfield here and continually to scrap. Probably, hopefully, JT Tammy won't bite the ear off David Jean. No, let's keep that one out of it. But the battle is still commencing between these 2, and at the moment, Brad, they're not giving it up.
Yeah, I'm with you on the JT Tammy, needing to do a bit more. But again, I think it's just that he doesn't want to come under fire from the stewards after. He doesn't want the stewards to look at him and say, well, you know what, you were too aggressive. Even though, David Junt was doing XYZ, you spun David Junt out of the lead with a couple minutes left to go.
There's got to be a diplomatic look at this. And I'm sorry. I know full well, right, the rules of CMS and VWSC and everything else, we got this, and I get that. But you've got to, this is the main, you can look at this and rewrite rules with multiple rules that are in the rules. And you could just say to them, well, that rule went out the window, scrap. That rule went out the window, scrap. And people doing the tango, they more look like the funky chicken. Scrap that, and this is the thing. You've got, there is rewritten rule book could come out completely out of this race. And this is the thing. And yeah, with 2 minutes to go, I think if you've survived, fair play, you deserve points, because this has been somewhat chaos racing going on a small circuit.
Here's a question for you. Do you think JT Tammy is holding back until the final lap to really send it through?
Well, he ain't going to be able long, I can tell you that much. Where's Dan Herlock currently on the racetrack? Dan, your hypercar leader, of course. And he is on his through Piratella on his way through, so he's going to be on the final lap this time around for him. JT Tammy's on his way through outer, so he'll get the next lap and just the next lap to get this job done, because of where Dan Herlock is at the moment. Dan Herlock there as well. I think that might have been Craig Pullen, might have gone round at the base there. Coming out of Tozo, he did. Unfortunately for Craig Pullen, he's on the grass, he's spinning, trying to stop it as well, unfortunately for him. But JT Tammy looks like he may have run a little bit wide, but that draft's going to pull him in. That GT3 is going to be sucked up to the back end of that Acura. Now is JT Tammy, this is your opportunity, your moment, your one moment. You're going to capture it, or are you going to let it slip? And is he going to be able to capture it now as well? He's got to look at just putting his nose up there. You've got to send it up there, son. You've got to be a dash down, greeting another one. Get it, just do it. And because you've sat there for long enough, the moment the door is going to be opening at some point, play him, move him around where you need him to be. Don't bump him around, move him. Fake left, fake right, fake up, fight down, fake a prize fight. There's a hypercar in the mix. There's Brandon Gant in the mix. It's all now for JT Tammy. And what is he going to do? As he goes from Piratella, there's contact. There's contact with David Jean. Is he now going to look up the inside again? He's got to be doing this again. And again, his nose went. It's now what JT Tammy's going to do. Bowders is in the mix. How is Bowders? Yeah, Bowders is going to play into this one. Is he going to allow them through, or is he not going to allow him through? And he doesn't allow them through again, and goes over the grass and holds him up. He's gone over the grass, Bowders. That's going to release JT Tammy now, as he's gone on the run down into Ravazza. He's got the double left-hander Aqua Minerali Down through Ravazza we go. It's now all about what are these guys going to do. They are going to get that one more lap, I believe, because I don't think Herlock's going to get near them. And Dan Herlock, no, they are going to get out in front. Leave them, Dan. Don't overtake them before the line, Dan. Please let them carry on for one more. Herlock's in the background. Herlock's going to take the victory anyway, I believe. But Jason, oh, they have. They've got one more. JT Tammy's got one more bite of the cherry. This is it. If you're going to be Adam and Eve and you've stolen the apple, JT, you've got to run with it. He's literally nose to bumper at the moment here as well. Through Tamburello they go. Now they're going up once more into Variante Villeneuve. He's done it again. Come on. There's only one move. You're not giving him room. This is...
And here we go. This is going to be the moment. The winner's in the background, but as we go through, this is the left hand of Toza. Hypercars in the mix now. JT Tammy
if you
has
finished, Adrian, get the move. If he's finished, don't even be involved.
Oh, I hope that the Hypercars will come in the battle for the GT3s. We go through. We're still here. JT Tammy is still in the mix. This is going to be a tough conversation after the race. But here we go. David Junt right there through Aquaman. He's going through. He's got the run. He's going to break it through. David Junt holds it. He's not enough.
He's going to jump. Through out they go. JT Tammy. He's pushing Junt. He's pushing Junt through the Variante Alta on the run down into Ravazza now. JT Tammy in that number 30, in that blinking car. He's in the Aston Martin GT3. He's only got Ravazza to go. It's all or nothing. Junt's got a slide on. Is JT Tammy going to be able to get through? He goes through the left-hander. It's a straight sprint down to the line. JT Tammy, you've still got time. You've still got time. Overtake him. You've still got time. He's trying to come down to the line. Oh, Junt is going to get it, I think. Oh. He did get it. Oh.
JC Tammy should have had that one.
All day.
Oh.
There was more blocks than an NFL football team. Insane.
How many moves can you make into a corner?
Mate. I could have given him knit needles. He would have weaved me a jumper. He'd weaved across the road that many times.
Yeah, that will... I have a feeling that that will be reviewed post-race, and I have a feeling that there will be an announcement to make when we make our way to France, to Spa-Francorchamps. Sorry, not France, Belgium.
France?
No, not France.
What did they do? Pick it up and move it?
I mean, we could at that rate. If you want to move that much on the straightaway, why can't we move a whole track?
All right, fair one. But Daniel Herlock did take the victory in the hypercars there, in the hypercar arms. It was Scar Pope did get Jerry Chen. I'm sorry if you think we focused on that GT3, but God blimey, come on, you can't blame us. The GT3s, it was Junt, it was Tammy in the GT3's arms, it was Buse and Miller. So some great action taking place there and some great fights from these guys. I was wondering if we can just bring up the session race results. You see Dan Herlock did take the overalls with Tom Lane, that's not right, Mike Bell in second place with Cameron Barker in third, Dan Kirby fourth, Mikael Dino in fifth with Tom Lane in sixth, Luke Mitchell seventh, John Uyan in eighth with Bradley Sellers in ninth and Wouter de Bruin in 10th. There you go, Magnus Dahlgren, yeah, in 11th place, sorry, with Timon Suvic there and Scar Pope with Jerry Chen, Michael Locke, Ernest Bernardo, Don Hunter, Brian Hall, Alexander Schultz, and Norm Graff. Then we got Ben Kesby, Craig Ben Kesby, Craig Pullen, Alexander Sarama, Vinicius Concalves, George Angelidis, and Adrian Rice. Peter Stefani, Benjamin Poyas, Heath. Then we've got David Shunt, who took the GT3s with JT Tammy in second. Adam Gray, all the way down in 31st, with James Walker, Matthew Overton, Robert Strachan, Brandon Gant, Max Sumfenlap, Peter Meyer, Velasquez Kataranakis, Joe Wilkes, and Eugene Mazur. Then we've got Dwayne Galvin. Then we've got Stephen Boyce, who took the victory in the GT3 AMS, with Stephen Miller in second. Hyman Zalecki, Ross Smith. Then we've got Josh Lepetri rounds out the podium there. Matthew Boyce, Mike Boyce, Ryan Reyes, and James Bowders. In 51st at the moment is Yasha Schmidt, who DNF'd, Eric Monet DNF'd, Jason White DNF'd, and Stuart Barge also did not finish. So there we go. Another race done, Brad.
Yeah, that's another race over. That was that was interesting. I'm keeping my eyes on some chats, and I'm not gonna read what was said, but we've got some angry drivers in the mix in the league. So yeah, we'll see how these conversations go in these interviews. I have a feeling, though, that these are going to be some fun little interviews.
Yes. Sorry, I'm playing catch up.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Paul telling us to keep talking in our ears. He's encouraging conversation to be had, but it's going to be a conversation. I also have a feeling we're going to have some mad drivers at us after this one, honestly.
I think so too. Let's pull in. Let's start off with the Hypercar Pros, of course, who was won by Dan Herlock there, as he's finished it up with Imola as well. Dan, welcome in. How are you, bud?
Yeah, had a pleasant evening. I know some drivers might not have, by the look at the chat, but I had quite a good time.
Yeah, it was good. How was it out there in general?
In general, there was a few hypercars that were a bit sketchy to deal with. I was pretty much taking it cautious the entire race around traffic just to be safe, and that paid off in the end.
Yeah, I think to be scoring points was finishing, right? I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. I think to be able to score points, you had to finish the race, and that was always tough, didn't it? Really, when there was so much going on for us up here, and so much for you guys on the racetrack as well. You know, do you think there's a solution to some of what we've seen here today going forward?
Just I think the stewards will get involved, and some drivers will have a talking to, and if they don't change it up, they're going to get more penalties until it adds up too much. But yeah, it was like you say, keep it on track, keep it safe, score the points.
I think, yeah, that was probably what was needed there as well. Dan, thanks so much for joining us. Are we going to see you around for the rest of the season here?
Should be showing up, yeah.
Should be. Awesome stuff. Well, Dan, thanks so much for joining us, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Just my team for doing a good job, and everyone running the league as well, because it's quite a job.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, Dan, thanks so much for joining us, bud, and take care, and hopefully see you next time.
Cheers. Thank you.
Next up, we'll go down through the order. Your Hypercar AM winner, Scar Pope. Scar, welcome in, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
I'm all right, mate. Not too bad at all. 2 out of 2 for you so far. You're doing well.
Yeah, these endurance 90-minute, 2-hour races are just right in my sweet zone, so it's been a lot of fun.
Fun? Manic fun?
Oh, Imola, yeah, definitely manic fun.
Tell us about it, mate, because we saw a lot of it. It was quite chaotic.
Yeah, that's the best word to describe that first stint for me. Definitely chaotic. I came around that fast left-hander at the top of the hill, and there was cars everywhere, so I had to jump on the brakes and ended up 25th with some damage and had to fight my way back through. So it was a good fun race from that perspective, but the rest of the race was nice. Like, found the right gaps, just caught up to Jerry for I think it was a second stop. We went in the pits at the same time, and then I pitted off kilter with him to try and get in front easier. And yeah, it worked out all well.
Yeah, it did. A tough one out there as well. For you in the championship, you're sitting 8th at the moment. You know, Jerry's at the top, George is there, John Meyer, Craig Pullen, they're all in front of you. You're going to get, you know, some points going forward. Do you think you can affect the Hypercar AM standings? Do you think if you can get a few wins on the board, you'll start maybe moving yourself up to sort of top 5, top 3 position?
I think it's possible, but I have to continue this consistency up and just see how it goes. I mean, there's going to be some tracks coming up which are just bogey tracks for me. Like Le Mans, I'm never really fast at. So I was actually quite surprised I did so well tonight because Imola is usually a bogey track. So we'll see how it goes and just play it by ear. But I think top 3 should be doable. But the rest of it, those top 2 are going to be very consistent, very hard to beat.
Yeah, I think with Imola, to be honest with you, mate, and I think going forward, it was a drive to survive. But the amount of cars that was on the racetrack, the amount of, you know, classes, different abilities, all of this catalysts that were there, I think, to be honest, it was more of a drive to survive, wasn't it, really, out there?
Yeah, definitely. You had to pick and choose your moments very carefully, otherwise disaster was waiting around the corner.
Yeah, it definitely was. Well, Scar, thank you so much for joining us here as well. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
All the CMS crew, you guys, and Storm Game for putting this on. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely has been for us up here in the booth. Well, Scott, take care, buddy. We'll look forward to seeing how you get on as the season goes on.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Right, next up is your GT3 winner, David Shunt here. Had a great battle with JT Tammy for pretty much most of the race. Let's bring him in here. David, how are you?
I'm really tired and nearly falling apart.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very difficult. Like JT was the usual great driver that I knew from other endurance series, and we were really fast, but he was way better on the tire degradation and probably also the tactics, and I just managed to make a really great tactic to be able to keep the tires and have a gap, and then I couldn't close it, so it was difficult to get closer. And then in the end I just had to do it, swap it around, not put new tires on it, and then I had to be millimetrically perfect with like any turn and try not to get outdragged by him anywhere. So it was really tough to stay in front of him because there was all kind of crazy driving going on around us, so it was very difficult to keep ahead of him.
Yeah, how hard was it out there for you?
Well, the tire deck, I mean, the NSX, I did a really great quality lap with the car, and it was really flying well with the setup. But in the race, I was cautious. I was really a bit scared that I would throw it away. And at the end, he got closer and closer. It was basically on me again. So he could do that like 15-second gap without changing tires, and I couldn't get closer than like 7 because there was so much traffic. So on that part, the NSX wasn't as well on the tire wear, and I had several oversteer moments, so the car was just a bit getting squiggly after some time in the stint. And then at the end, it was really, I said, you got to be on the line and you're not too late. You got to watch out for so many like lapped cars, or you getting lapped. I had to evade like the chicane, top the chicane, had to wait to not get a drive through on top of it because I had to cut it. So we were never really separated by a lot, and we had I like saw like a VW Beetle Porsche twice upside down. So it was really crazy, and by the end it was just I had to make sure I make kind of good exit at the last turn, and probably also out of the Minerali and to the chicane up exit, and then like use first gear out of the tight chicane. And when I could do it, I was kind of okay and used all the slipstream I could get from other cars to stay ahead. So it was really tough, but we were also ding dong, or I got a slight tap hello from JT sometimes, but it was a really great battle though, to be honest. So we were really top of the game, to be honest. So it was great racing with him.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. There was a couple of times where JT looked like he had a bit of a run of you as well. But going forward for you, well done. Congratulations on taking the GT3 Pro victory. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Shout out to at least my own team, like Blackhawk Racing. We're not the team here, but I'm driving for them. like livery and such. But yeah, thanks. Probably also thanks to my family that are so patient right now. That while racing, probably shouting when I cross the line.
Okay, but well, enjoy yourself and well done on your victory.
Thank you, man.
No worries. Next up, we have got Stephen into the booth. Stephen, your GT3 winner. Well done to you, dear sir. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, it was a good day, that's for sure.
It definitely was tough out there, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. You know, I came out there just trying to stay in one piece, really. I think I lucked out not getting into some of the you know, the crashes that happened right in front of me, and that was kind of my strategy. You know, just get through and finish the race. That's it.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it was a drive to survive, right? And I think that's the thing, wasn't it? It was, if you survived, you were definitely in for scoring points.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think you know, my two brothers, my older brothers, were not so lucky today. But yeah, I think you know, all that luck fell to me, and had a great race on top of it. So everything was good.
Yeah, it definitely was. It got a little bit manic and chaotic, and you know, 54 cars around the short track as such, in conjunction here as at Imola as well. Was it more of a having eyes in the back of your head? Was you more sort of an owl than you was a racing driver at that point? Because at some points there was 5 cars going everywhere. It was quite chaotic.
You know, sometimes you don't know what to focus on, because your eyes are just moving from left to right to the mirrors, just going in that cycle, just trying to you know, keep out of the way of all the hypercars flying through. There were some, you know, not a lot of points where it was easy for them to pass us. So, you know, just sticking with your line, that was, and trying to breathe, you know, trying to keep everything in one piece, just so you weren't creating problems down the road.
Yeah, I think that was the thing going forward. It was quite manic there as well. Stephen, anyone you want to shout out before we let you go, buddy?
I just want to thank you all in the booth, and thanks to my brothers for, you know, getting me into this. Never went into it thinking that I was gonna, you know, place first in a race, but here I am today. So thanks.
Yeah, well done to you, dear sir, and hopefully we'll see you for most of the season and see how you get on.
Absolutely, thank you.
Take care. Brad, there you go.
Yeah, interesting. So I like that even all the drivers are kind of under agreement that was a bit crazy. It makes me feel a little bit better about my opinion. Lots of conversations about pit stall sharing causing issues. Lots of conversations about different things being hectic. We'll see how the stewards' decisioning plays out. Of course, it's a quick turnaround to go to a circuit at Le Spa-Francorchamps. So we should have a pretty quick turnaround of penalty results and seeing how everything kind of sticks out. I'm curious to see what changes from this race, what decisions admin make from this race going forward.
Yeah, I really don't know, to be honest. And Thea out there said, oh yeah, getting a bit iffy. That was with the JT Sammy. The problem is that penalties don't prevent them from ruining the race. It doesn't, unless there's a race ban, of course. And again, you know, if you put penalties in, they've got to be strong enough to affect the people's races that have got the penalties. You know, there's no point, for instance, giving certain people 5-second ban and it doesn't put them down a position, because, you know, what would be the actual point? But I think it's just been absolutely chaotic there as well. Stacey in YouTube chat, great broadcast again. James, Brad and Paul, awesome work you guys do. Thank you so much. At least no one can say it was boring. Well, this is completely true. If anybody does come back and say it's boring, well, they should borrow my glasses, because I can tell you one thing, it definitely wasn't. But that's going to wrap it up from us up here in the booth, guys, as well. Thank you so much To all of you that has joined us, we hit that 100 message mark on Restream as well, which was absolutely incredible. So thank you so much for that one. But I've been James Parfitt. I've been up here in the booth with Bradley Dalton and also Paul Glover in the background. Didn't really speak as much, so fair play to Paul for that one. He must have been sat with his duct tape over his chops on that one. But for now, guys, as always, take care, have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.